Hey guys, before we jump into the episode, I wanted to let you know it is brought to you by Revenova, the official TMS provider for the Freight Coach. You guys, I've been a broker for a long time, and the tools that are at your disposal with Revenova help you eliminate bouncing between systems, which improves your accuracy when you are managing multiple tasks throughout your workday. Plus, it's built into the Salesforce cloud, so your CRM is fully integrated with your TMS, eliminating yet another silo. In today's day and age, you are definitely concerned about the safety of your data. With Revenova, it's fully protected. They have cutting edge security that keeps your information safe so you can focus on what matters most, and that's growing your business. Speaking of growing your business, with Rate and Lane IQ, you get real time pricing and route recommendations, helping you optimize costs and improve operational efficiencies, which ultimately helps you make smarter decisions. If you are like me and have recurring shipments from non EDI customers, they have intuitive cloning features that let you easily replicate previous shipments, saving both shipper and carrier rates with just a few taps. If you are ready to learn more, visit www.revenova.com to request a demo. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Thursday, everybody. I got a couple of very special guests for you guys. I'm going to bring them up here in a second. But I do just got to drop that one quick weekly reminder, you guys. Yesterday, our weekly newsletter dropped. All right. But like with everything, I don't auto sign anybody up. I don't buy downloads. I don't buy followers or anything like that. So if you want to get in on it, I need you to go to thefreightcoach.com. And just put your information in there. It'll auto prompt you to sign up there. Again, it's once a week. It's 100% freight related. And we got some really cool additions that are going to be showing up in 2026. So you're going to want to get in on that, especially if you want some help on learning a little bit more about the freight market, what rates are doing, and everything else. But speaking of all of that fun stuff, efficiency. That is one thing that I am constantly focused in on my business. I am trying to maximize my efficiencies, remove any inefficient operations. My time is everything, and I want to maximize that out there. And I want to find those uncovered profitabilities inside of my business as well. And I got a couple of very special guests who are going to be talking about that specifically on the driver side today. So I have Kylie and Richard with Vetra Technologies on the show. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time to join me this morning.
Yeah, of course. We're very excited to be here. And I completely agree with what you're saying about optimization and efficiency being so important, especially right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
No, I'm like, when you guys had reached out about this and then doing some research into your guys' company on what you guys are building out there, I mean, there's so many little things that don't come to light until after the fact, right? When it comes down to route I mean, just as simple as route optimization and everything. And we're going to get into all of that here, you guys. But at first, I always like to ask people, like, how did you get your, like, what started Vetra? What happened between you two where you're like, there's a need here, we got to build this?
Yeah, so we love talking about this story. So we met about a year ago, actually, when we started. So we were looking into kind of different industries to begin with. We didn't know initially that we were going to land on the trucking industry, but we were insanely struck just by how huge the industry is and how important it is. We always say it's the backbone of America because 70% of freight that's transported is by trucks. And so it's really that number alone shows just how important it is for everything that happens in America. And we saw that, and we're looking into kind of what this industry has done in terms of optimization, and we saw kind of a gap with the addressing the issue of deadhead miles and kind of overall route efficiency.
Yeah. When we started about a year ago, we didn't go on to start a business. We just started looking into the business and looking into the logistics industry. And we came across the crazy statistic that 30 to 40% of all truck miles were driven empty, especially in New England, which is where we're based out of. And so we started looking into that, also looking at it from a data perspective on why does this happen. If a truck is going somewhere, oftentimes they'll return empty, trying to figure out a way that we can really maximize every mile on the road.
So let's dive right into this, right? Because I don't know any truck driver or business owner out there that doesn't want to stop hemorrhaging money inside of their operation. So where is that area that carriers are just bleeding money inside of their company through empty miles? How does technology actually fix this, and not talk about fixing it? What's that implementation look like?
Right. So right now, let's use a truck as an example, going from, let's just say, New York to Boston, right? Oftentimes what will happen, depending on the trucking company, right? If someone needs something delivered, oftentimes they'll go from New York to Boston and return empty. Other times they'll wait in New York until they have something to go back to Boston. Both of these scenarios are not great because they're either returning empty or they're waiting on a load to come back. And so what we do is we look at a wide range of loads by partnering with different load boards and really aggregate the data together in order to really maximize the route. And so an example that Kylie and I like to use is if a trucker is going from Boston, or if they're going from Maine to Los Angeles, right? And if they were to look on a load board, something that would usually come up would be, let's say, pick up in Philadelphia and drop off in LA. Now, that sounds like a good load. It's across the whole country, but it doesn't take into account that it's 8 hours empty. And right now, with the margins so low in the trucking industry, that those 8 hours could be very costly for the carrier. And so what we do is we'll find the best load. Maybe we'll get you from Boston to Philadelphia, so that way you can take the load from Philadelphia to California. But if you don't want to do that, we will find you, and you can, through our platform, you can customize it based on if you want the highest rate per mile, if you want to go, the shortest distance between stops, however you want to customize it. So maybe we'll get you from Boston to Chicago to St. Louis to Las Vegas to Los Angeles. So we can do a multi-leg trip planning. So rather than focusing on one part of the trip, the carrier can then focus on the whole route in order to maximize their efficiency.
Okay, so you guys are essentially integrated in with load boards, and you guys are working with carriers where they can say that it's pulling the entire route for them, as opposed to them knowing if they're in a bad freight area. You guys use Maine, for example. I know shipping freight up into the Northeast is going to have a higher rate per mile going in than it is coming out, because it's just very soft. There's not a lot of opportunities coming out. So essentially, you guys are aggregating a ton of data and loads that are out there where a driver can show, I'm currently in Bangor, Maine, like you were utilizing as the example there. I want to get down to Southern California. You're going to help marry them up a couple of different shipments to get them down on that route. Is that the bulk of what your product is doing?
Yes, exactly. And we like to say, so obviously there's certain things that our product cannot solve because just the freight economics of certain areas being better than others is not something we can solve. It's the economy. We can't impact that. But what we can do is take what we have and maximize the value. So what we do, which we've said is stringing together multi-leg trips, is essentially creating a bunch more viable options for carriers to choose between. Because what used to be a one tiny portion of a route that they might not even consider because it's too short, it doesn't take them where they want to go. Now they can see all these different options, all these different combinations that now are attractive because they're fully planned out routes. They're now comparable to other options that are longer and more what they're looking for. So it gives them a ton more options and does it a lot faster.
Are you guys just looking at full truckload opportunities out there? Or are you guys looking for partials and they can potentially marry this up and maximize their profitability that way? Because that's an untapped potential for a lot of drivers, right? Is and again, and I get it, a lot of people want to stick in the one pick, one drop aspect of these shipments, but marrying up partials, getting them in there. I mean, there's got to be a lot of freight. I mean, there doesn't have to be. I know there's a lot of freight that is moving in the Northeast down even into like Philadelphia. And again, we're just using your guys' example here. So it's like, is your tool out there looking for any and all opportunities to help drivers maximize their profitability that way?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question. We actually got this the other day as well. So our product right now does the full truckload, but it is perfectly set up to do partials as well and combine them into full shipments. So we will be doing that in the future. That is on our roadmap. So we're very excited about the possibility of that as well.
So, obviously, I will sit here and say AI is no longer a buzzword. It's like in every single tech company's offering that's out there, and everybody talks about optimization inside of that. Like, what is it that you guys are doing differently from other platforms that are offering a similar service to this right now?
So our focus, I'd say, is very much on the driver. We're not focused on just adding in the word AI anywhere, trying to use it in our solution just to have that kind of buzzword like concept. We're really focused on making decisions that are going to positively impact carriers. So we're choosing very carefully where we want to implement this AI. We're not trying to replace any like job function. We're not trying to take away the value that, say, a dispatcher provides. We're just a tool that's going to be helping them to make decisions more quickly, to kind of reduce the amount of time that they might be spending on something that would normally take them a long amount of time, like searching through tons and tons of different loads, trying to figure out what is the best option. So we're a tool that works alongside them.
Right. And kind of to carry on that, we've spoken with a lot of different drivers, and oftentimes the word AI can appear to be scary or new to them, and we don't really like to use the word AI. We use AI in our product in order to maximize efficiency, but what we consider it more, rather than taking over, is a tool to really help the carriers. We don't use AI in any of the communication. A lot of companies, a lot of startups work on the communication between the broker and the trucker using AI. From our feedback from many truckers, they really value the communication and the negotiation between the brokers and the truckers. So we don't use AI there at all. We use AI as a tool in order to aggregate the best loads, to present the driver with the best load so that they're able to win even more on the road.
Does your guys' tool, so, obviously a lot of small to mid-sized fleets are set up with a lot of brokers, and, there's a lot of brokers who are out there trying to cover this freight. Does your guys' tool take it as far as like if a carrier onboards with you guys and utilizes you, that it shows, hey, you're set up with this broker, you're set up with this broker, you're not set up with that broker? Are you guys, is that a possibility for them?
So as of now, our tool does, it's still manual with the communication with the broker. So it would still just present the contact information for the broker, and the carrier or dispatcher would then call the broker and do that. But there are tools within our system that allow for kind of management of like what they've selected and who they're in communication with, but it's still manual for that aspect.
So that would be, I'm just going to give you guys just some free game here. That would be something that I think would be extremely beneficial for the driver community, as identity and the setup procedure gets more and more strict for them from the brokerage community, the greater the ability for them to reduce any downtime at all. I think that would be a major value add to a lot of trucking companies, where they're going to be able to look through and comb through, because, again, we'll just use the Bangor, Maine to Philadelphia example. There might be 17 brokers or 17 of those loads available out there. That driver might not be set up with a handful of them, and then they're wasting time calling those brokers that they're not set up with. And then by the time they get down to the one that they are, that load's already gone and covered, right? So it's like, that would be a way to expedite a lot of this. And, from my perspective, that is where like a lot of this stuff needs to go, because there is going to be even more and more opportunities out there for drivers to kind of like set themselves out in the crowd. Because right now, some of the biggest threats that is to the industry is the legitimate carrier. They are having a harder time to stand out in a crowd out there. And then for them, if they're going to aggregate any of their data or any of their opportunities to book freight, to be able to go straight to the source of the brokers that they know that they're set up with, I think that would be a massive value add to them.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I think that is very important that you bring that up. That's definitely something that we would consider having in our product in the future.
Yeah, because it's like right now there's a big thing with when you look at the onboarding process, right, where carrier's identity, anything, because I personally think the carriers out there that are operating to the they've got all their bases covered, right? Like, they are the best of the best that are out there. And with where the market is trending, with where the industry is trending right now, unfortunately, they got to jump through a lot more hoops than they used to get access to freight. But once they have all of that, and then they know, like, hey, I'm already set up with this broker, they can just tender it over. I mean, that's going to be huge. And then if you guys could take it a little bit further, even, and then they could go after and search after, if they have higher value cargo insurance, right? They might be able to go out there and find better paying freight because they have $250,000 in cargo as opposed to $100,000 in cargo. And it just opens up more and more doors for them, right? So it's like, I think the faster carriers are going to be able to prove who they are, what their coverage is, and everything that comes along with it. I think that's just where things are. Again, I don't agree or disagree with where things are. I just play the hand that I'm dealt. And with where everything is right now, and with where a lot of the talking points we're seeing in DC, it's going to trend continuously down that road. And carriers are going to unfortunately have to jump through more and more hoops to show their validity. And once they have that, and then they can go out there and just skip through all of that time drag process of skimming through a lot of that freight, and they're like, boom, I'm set up with broker A, I'm just going to call them right away.
Yeah, and that's so important, because especially with just the amount of time that takes, it's just another thing that could be optimized and could have a lot of impact if we reduce the amount of time that it takes to do those things, because that's not even their core business operation for carriers. That's not contributing to revenue. It's just something that they have to get through before they even get to the revenue. So that's very important.
No, absolutely. So like, what is something, like, if a smaller or mid-sized fleet is going to be implementing your guys' product, what's the fastest win they could expect?
Well, the fastest win that they could expect is, immediately as they start to use our product, they will be able to see just the amount of time that it takes in comparison for what they would be doing originally, searching through all these different combinations, trying to figure out what is the best freight to take, what the best combination is to take. So one is the amount of time. Immediately they'd see a reduction in how long that process is taking. And two, they'd see a reduction in the amount of deadhead they're experiencing, and an overall increase in their revenue as our system targets the entire route.
It's almost immediate, because what it's doing is it's searching based off of their preferences. And as they continue to use it, their preferences might be more aligned for what they're looking for, but the results would be immediate. But especially with what Kylie was saying with the timing is a big factor in terms of also what you were saying a minute ago, dealing with the brokers. Timing is crucial. Going back and forth, oftentimes dispatchers will spend, could be 30 minutes looking for a single load, could be longer, where we could combine, many loads in seconds.
So are you guys going to be out? Like, I'm just trying to think of like from a data perspective, if they are, how are you guys kind of combing through a lot of those load postings where, if you just look at Atlanta, Georgia, for example, there's a lot of people who will post freight out of Atlanta, but it actually picks up down in Macon or it picks up in North Georgia. How are you guys able to filter through any of that? Or is that where you guys are like, you want them to still call the broker, the one posting the load in that example, to get all of that? Because again, if we're looking at empty miles and route optimization and everything else, I think that'd be awesome to see out there, right? Because I know not every broker posts the exact lane. And then it would be one of those things where it's like we could save them a phone call to find out like, hey, you're in Macon, this load actually picks in Macon, as opposed to you deadheading up to Atlanta.
Yeah, so right now our solution searches based on the location that's given, although it does search kind of based on a few other parameters as well. So it'll search based on like if they want to do within a certain amount of radius of that location that they selected, what they would be okay with doing for that, and just the overall like distance they want to travel, the overall deadhead miles they're okay with, and rate per mile. So in terms of filtering out those locations that might not be entirely accurate, that's not exactly something our system does as of now. But as we are using these AI and machine learning algorithms, I do see it as being something that could be kind of a learning aspect to the AI that the model could be trained on to start to recognize certain patterns.
Are you guys going to be able to have the feature of, because I look at it, it's just because a load pays more money, it doesn't mean it's the most profitable one for the carrier that's out there. Are you guys looking into, again, like it might be another 40, 50 miles of deadhead. It might pay a couple $100 more, but this one is available. It's closer. It pays less. Are you guys looking at the overall profitability aspect of that shipment, even though it might pay less money, but it's like it's closer? There's like an ability to get loaded faster. Are you guys going to look further into like loading times, if it's first come, first serve? Is it by appointment, and kind of like really push those parameters?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we try to stand out with. To start off with, when something that's kind of unique about our platform is when you create your account and you put in the information, whether you have one truck or a fleet of 50 or more, what you do is you insert the type of truck you have, how big the truck is, and all the parameters within the settings, right? So when you go and search on the load board, you can only see loads that fit you. Every single thing will fit you. And we get asked about this pretty often, and something that we compare it to is, if you were, someone once said to me, that's kind of like if you go to Nike and search like men's clothes, then you can see it. But our product's a little bit different. Is if you were to go to Nike and insert everything about you, and knows exactly the type of shirt you want, exactly the type of shoe that fits you, everything is to the T of what would fit in that truck. And so all the results are possibilities for that truck. And so when it comes to your question about if it's just the highest paying load, it's not. Sometimes there'll be the maximum highest revenue if there's a little bit of deadhead. It takes in the whole thing into consideration with our platform.
So does it give out like a score, like, hey, this is like based on your set of procedures that you're talking about right there? Does it list out like, hey, this is an A+ load for you, or this is a C load for you based on the parameters that you signed up with?
Yeah, so our system, with one aspect of what the AI portion does, is kind of summarize the results and say, this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And it'll also give kind of an explanation for each of them that says, oh, this fits with what you input because of XYZ. So it's really efficient for data-driven decision-making, because it kind of shows the points that people care about right there, and is really good for summarizing in that way.
Okay. What is the best way for, like, how does this help carriers make more money? Is like without, like, is it just the deadhead reduction? Is it the time save reduction? Where is that cost savings that comes along with utilizing a tool like this? Because, if you're already out there and you're signed up on a load board, for example, how does this tool help make the business, remain profitable in, an industry where margins are razor thin?
Yeah, so this is the main thing that our product does is improve the top line, improving revenue. And that comes from one, reducing the amount of deadhead, and two, choosing loads every time that are going to be most beneficial for the revenue. Because the way we see it right now is that deadhead creates a lot of small decision making where carriers are seeing that they have a bunch of loads to choose from, and every time maybe they're choosing an option that's not fully the best one, and that adds up. So over time, we're really able to make the best decision every time to improve the revenue from there. And we also do see potential for the cost savings with the time that's saved for the dispatcher, but mainly we are focused on the top line revenue.
So is there an ability inside your guys' platform to where, if they are moving a cross country run, or, we move a lot of flatbed freight here in the Southwest. That's our core service region that's out there. We like to marry up our drivers. We call it marry up every single time we can. Where if we have a load picking up in Denver, delivering to Arizona, like we just did this last week. We picked up on Friday in Denver for a customer of ours, delivered into Arizona, and then use that same truck to pick up for another customer in Arizona to go up into the Central Valley in California. Does your tool give a driver that visibility, or do you guys auto notify? Like if I'm on there, I'm a driver and I want to move from, say, Denver to San Francisco, and I'm already on a load going down to Phoenix, do you guys like automatically send them load notifications like, hey, we just saw this posted out here. This would fit inside of your parameters. Is that a feature?
As of now, it is not, but we do see this as being something that we've actually talked about as something we want to add into our product. And specifically, kind of the way we think about this is with Uber, the way that they kind of notify drivers of new opportunities as they're already on the route, and customers as they kind of get into maybe a city, maybe they got off the airplane and they just landed, and Uber notifies them, do you want to take this, or do you want to take a ride with an Uber? So we do see that as something being very beneficial and time saving, because just of how quickly freight decisions need to be made. It's if you're notified, you see it right away, and you are in a place where you can take it, you should take it.
Yeah, that's something that, again, I think it'd be extremely beneficial for your guys as users if they're out there, especially if they're a solo operator, they're a small fleet, they have 3 trucks, 1 dispatcher. That route planning aspect of it is going to be crucial. And I think and again, it's like if we're talking about maximizing our time, eliminating downtime and everything else, having those notifications come through, even if it's like after they're loaded, right? Because I think that would almost be a deterrent for any driver who's on your guys' platform is if they sign up for a load and then get that notification and then accept that shipment, but then their first leg of the shipment gets canceled for whatever reason. I think it'd be cool for them to go on your guys' platform, hit loaded, and then it just starts automatically sending more opportunities their way based on the load posting, the data aggregation aspect of it, right? It's almost like when you're signing up for a new service and you accidentally click you can text me notifications one, and then all of a sudden, every time they do a 5% sale, your phone just blows up. But this would be a good thing, because this would be adding money into their pocket, right? So it's like to kind of have that, accept it, and then, hey, I'm delivering in Phoenix, and now every single load that pops up in Phoenix on there that pays above a certain rate per mile, or it pays above a certain, because you focus on top line revenue there, it pays, say above $4,000 or whatever, it notifies them, and then they can go in there and get ahead of it, right? Because a lot of the best paying freight that's out there in all reality doesn't really make it to a load board, but the ones that are working it 48 hours in advance, that might work out better for the end user overall. And then they can go ahead and keep their wheels turning, because no matter what, even if, I love what you guys are doing with trying to solve and minimize deadhead, but deadhead is naturally going to be a part of it. But if we're out there focusing on that top line revenue aspect of it, it'd be awesome to see that ability to really get ahead of the freight planning and be like, hey, boom, this load pays $1,000 more. I'm in front of it now because I signed up for this feature where it just automatically notifies me.
Yeah, definitely. And that fits really well with the kind of personalization piece of our product, how it really gets to know the carrier and the preferences that they set and everything about that. So the notifications would be not something that's irrelevant to the carrier. It'd be something that they actually want to take.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Right. Go ahead, Richard.
No, I was just say, yeah, it enhances their experience in order to help them make more money.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, right? We always want to make more money. I don't know anybody who goes into business for themselves. It's like, oh, I hope I make less this day than not. But you guys, thank you so much for your time and jumping on today. How does anybody reach out to you guys to find out more about what you guys are building at Vetra?
Yeah, so we have our website, just vetratechnologies.com. You can find us on Instagram under the same name, LinkedIn. Yeah, basically any of the common ones.
Perfect. Sounds great, you guys. Thank you so much for joining. If you guys can't find Vetra out there for whatever reason, hit me up. I will gladly put you guys in contact with them. But that is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank it on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Hey, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the bag. Hey, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moves.